Hello again, fellow piano players. For this video, I'm going to assume that you've already watched the introduction to major scales and the 2-octave one, because that will explain the fingering and the key signatures and how all of those work. And like I said in the introduction video, all of these things help you understand when something's in the key of A minor, or if you're trying to just make your fingers fit and get them faster. They're great exercises, and all this gymnastics, all these new kind of weird ways of moving your fingers is just helping your brain to become a better musician, helping your fingers to know where to move. The cool third kind of minor scale is called a melodic minor. So with melodic minor, we have two special ones that get raised up. We count to the 6th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6th and the 7th get lifted up. It's like they've got balloons on them and they get lifted up higher. It makes it sound major at the end. If you remember A major, we had that brighter sound at the start. And this was the same as A major. We had 3 sharps in the key of A major. If we're playing melodic minor, we have no sharps in the key signature. All these extra guys, the extra ones are put as accidentals. They're not written in the key signature. So composers will write these in the music whenever they want them, if they want them. They're just extras. Accidentals is a weird word because it sounds like an accident, like an oops, but it just means it's not in the key signature. It's not written at the start of the piece to say, hey, this is the key, this is the obstacle course, this is the family. A melodic minor going up. And it's a beautiful melody because on the way up, we raise them, the balloons lift them up. On the way down, we flatten them and it turns into natural minor. Coming down, it's exactly the same as C. So let me show you that again, and I'll do 2 octaves up this time. Raise up, and up, and coming down. So a cool way to practice these top things here, and the fingering will change depending on what scale you're doing, but it's really fun to turn these around. It feels like you're doing a little figure 8 in the air. Left hand, same deal. We raise the 6th and the 7th note coming up. So that was the top of the clock. Let's move around a 5th, and we're still counting in 5ths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next one we do is E, and the reason E is next on the clock is because the major scale with 1 sharp had the F sharp up there, we had G. Listen to the sound again. Under the ground. E minor is related to G. It feels weird because the sharp has to remain the same letter name and it's suddenly put in a different position. So it's right down the bottom. E melodic minor feels exactly like E major with the 4 sharps, and all it changes is we drop the middle one down to a G natural. Count up 6. Here's our 6th and 7th, they get raised up. On the way down, they get flattened. And G natural, 2 octaves. Really important that you know your 3 and your 4 fingering from all of the major scales. So running through E major and backwards. The fingering is exactly the same, but it feels very different. Left hand, your 3 is desperate to go up on the sharp here, but it's E minor. So this is E melodic minor, counting up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our 6th and 7th are supposed to be down here. If it's natural minor, we raise them up. Then we put them down to natural minor. And 2 octaves. sharps. The major scale was D. There's our F sharp and our C sharp. And under the ground is B minor. Melodic minor, which has the raised 6th and the 7th up the top. So if we count up from here, here's your first note, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6 and the 7 feel just like major. And then on the way back down, we're going to drop them and it turns into just those 2 sharps again. We've got natural minor on the way down. So this bit feels cool up the top. Up, 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 and down. That is a fun thing to do from here. Just to have that balloon kind of shape floating up and then coming down. So 2 octaves. And melodic minor with your left hand, last one for B. So starting with your 4 again. And the big stretch over. And coming back. It goes down. And 2 octaves. Okay, we're up to 3 sharps. Now the 3 sharp family, the major one was A. And we had those 3 sharps in there, F sharps and C sharps and G sharps. We keep on adding to the ones that we had just before. If we do under the ground from A, now jump it down, listen to this one. Under the ground, we actually land on an F sharp. So F sharp minor is the relative minor of A. Melodic minor. We're getting into very strange land here. So let's count up. We need to get to the 6th and the 7th. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This D is going to turn into D sharp. And the 7th one is going to turn into the E sharp. Now this is a really annoying one, and I wish I'd left this till a little bit later to explain, but if we're going around the clockwise, we have to have this confusing conversation now. Fingering does weird stuff up here. If we shift the 6th or 7th note into a sharp, and sometimes it's black, sometimes it's white, our fingering does very strange things. So watch this carefully. This is melodic minor. We tucked under before, but this time we can't. There's no need. It's a bit silly to tuck your thumb under there. So we have your 4, and we tuck under here. If we were going to continue, it's easy. We just go on from here. On the way down, if you remember natural minor on the way down, we only had those 3 sharps. You ended up with your 3 on F sharp. And we went 3, 2, 1. And then we had weird stuff coming down. It changes the fingering up here. So that strange little step, we're going to have to miss a finger and switch to that 3. And remember, oh yeah, we've got natural minor coming back. So this is going to feel very strange. And then your 3 goes over again. So that top bit is worth practicing over and over 1,000,000 times until you don't have to think about it so much. 3, 4, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3. I will show you 2 octaves up and down. Complicated stuff in there. Left hand, let's work out what happens left hand, melodic minor. So let's count it up. Let's start off with your 4. We did your 3 over here before. This one is much easier because all we have to do is keep this one here, but raise it up, and that doesn't actually change. If we're turning around, 3. If we're going to turn around, your thumb comes back underneath, but instead of being the sharpened one, we flatten it. We flatten this one back down again. rest is all the same. So left hand is less complicated than your right hand. Let me show you again. 1 octave. 2 octaves. These are getting into the more complicated lands of scales, so let's keep on going around. They get easier and easier as we keep on going. So you're in the tricky land now, and they will get easier. So that was F sharp minor, 3 sharps. If we go to 4 sharps, the major scale was E, and we had those 2 lots, little squishies. The relative minor, under the ground, is C sharp minor. So C sharp minor has 4 sharps. Same 4 sharps, same little squishy things that we had in E, but in a different spot. So C sharp melodic minor. So let's count up the 6th and the 7th ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's our 6th note gets raised, and our 7th note gets raised. So we have a B sharp, we have an A sharp and a B sharp. Same deal as F sharp minor. When we come backwards, we need your 3 there. We need your 3 on the C sharp, because when we come back, we flatten this. It goes to B natural, we flatten this, it goes to A natural, and the rest is the same as before. So when you're going up, 3, 4, 1, 3, your 2 just says, hang on a second, now I'm going to come back. 2, 1, 3. And again, you can use these ones over here if you want to. 2 octaves up and down. This is C sharp melodic minor. Here's the twisty turny thing. And your 4 and your 3. Left hand. Let's see what happens with your left hand as you get up to the top. So we start off with your 3. Oh, and I nearly did a major sound. If we did that, it suddenly sounds happy. Remember, it's in the relative of E, so we need your E there. 4th finger goes over, sharpened, sharpened, flattened, flattened, and 2 octaves. So those ones are hard work. Let's keep on going. You're up to 5. We're actually down the bottom of the clock where they start to overlap, and it gets a bit easier to remember because you just have to remember where the white notes were. The rest of them, for the natural minors, are exactly the same as the majors. So B major, all the black notes, and these 2 whites. Who works under the ground? We have to call this G sharp minor. If we're going to say it's relative to B, then we give it a sharp name. If we said it's relative to C flat, then we could call it A flat minor. So for now, let's call it G sharp minor, and we'll see what happens. If we give it a sharp name, we'll see what happens at the top. So the 6th and 7th notes are going to get pretty hairy now. Let's look at this. First note, 2nd note, 3rd note, 4th, 5th. The 6th one was an E, and we're going to have to sharpen it to E sharp. This one has to have the F name, so it's F double sharp. And then we're back to G sharp. Coming backwards. So on the way up, there's the balloon making it float up. Even though it's more like a bowl shape, sort of, it feels like it's going down, but the sound is lifting up. On the way down, we flatten it so that it's the same as B major. All the black notes again, and only those 2 whites. So let's go from here again. We'll call it A flat minor. See what happens to the spelling this time. A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F natural, G natural, A flat, G flat, F flat, E flat, D flat, C flat, B flat, and you're back to A flat. So again, totally up to you how you want to spell it. I'll do 1 octave, then I'll do 2. And 2 octaves. I personally think of it as G sharp minor, and of course it totally depends on the piece that you're playing, but if I'm just playing it as an exercise, it feels like B coming back. It just feels like B major, so my brain sort of thinks of B major with 5 sharps. Left hand, let's work it out. Melodic minor. So we have G sharp, A sharp, B. Same deal that we had before. We want these to raise up, so we need to have your 4 over the top because the E is going to be raised. The F is going to be double raised. Coming backwards, of course we're not going to tuck your thumb under there. That does not make a spot of sense. So coming backwards, your left hand fingering is going to be different on the way down. And we go back to good old-fashioned B fingering. So 2 octaves is actually easier to feel how it feels like B. Let's go 2 octaves, B melodic, G sharp melodic minor. Okay, we are down the bottom of the clock. We've just done the 5 sharp family. Now we're up to the 6 sharp family. This is the one where the 2 white notes are scared of the 2 blacks and they hug the 3 black notes. They like the 3 black notes. So F sharp major. If we call it a sharp name, we have to go under the ground and we call it D sharp minor. If we give it a flat name, if we call this one G flat, this one suddenly becomes under the ground, it suddenly becomes E flat minor. So because we're at the base of the clock, we're halfway around, we're starting to get into the easier ones coming up around, we're going to start calling them flats because we don't end up with that double sharp stuff up the top. It's just a little bit easier to think through. So let's call this E flat minor. It has 6 flats. They are all flats except for that one note there. That is a plain old F, natural F. If we turn it into melodic, we take the 6th and the 7th note. Here's the first note, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. The 6th one was supposed to be this one over here. If we raise it, and we raise this one, it's the same kind of scoopy feel that we've had before, where you've got the black, white, white, and coming up like that. If we call it E flat minor, we've got flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat. This is supposed to be C flat, but we raise it. This is supposed to be D flat, but we raise it. On the way down, D flat, C flat, and coming back it feels just like F sharp major. So here's 1 octave, this is melodic minor, E flat melodic minor. 2 octaves. Left hand, let's see what happens with the fingering if we do E flat melodic minor with your left hand. So we start off here. This is all pretty straightforward. Here's the 6th note. Here's the 7th note, and we don't have an extra thumb. That is so annoying. It's a white note that comes over the top, and we kind of don't have a choice unless we do that same annoying thing where your 5 is going to land on here. That sounds cool. So let's go from here again. You've got your 4. That was a group of 4. The next one is actually supposed to be a group of 3, but it's going to feel super weird. Now we go back to our normal feeling group of 3 and tuck your thumb under, so we're back to C flats. And that's natural minor. That's exactly the same as G flat major. Same notes coming down. So look at that again, 1 octave. And that little loopy thing up the top, I often think of these melodic minors as like a swimming pool. That loopy thing is like the end of the lap when you've done a lap. And if you've ever seen professional swimmers, they do this beautiful somersault thing at the end of the pool and they kick off and turn around and come backwards. Some people can make that look like it's the easiest somersault in the world. I certainly don't do that. It looks like a big clunking weird thing. So when you first do the lap, the loopy lap thing, it's going to feel very odd. So something that's really handy to do is just take that little loopy bit. Pretend that you're doing those laps and you're just practicing the little turn at the top of the pool. So you've got up, up, and down. Very weird. This is where the gymnastics really kicks in. 2 octaves. Okay, now we are up to the 7 sharp family. C sharp major. So all sharps and the 2 white notes are pointing up this way. If we call it a flat family, which we will because it's much easier to discuss. If we call it the flat family, C sharp is exactly the same as D flat. So D flat under the ground. D flat is related to B flat minor. So B flat minor is going to have only 5 flats. If we call this A sharp minor, we have to give it 7 sharps and we get the double sharp thing up the top and the world is just more complicated. So let's go from B flat minor. So we've got 5 flats. I'm going to jump up an octave. So 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th are supposed to be these 2. So they both get raised up. This feels really cool. I like the feeling of this one because it feels like you're scooping up all the way up and you don't have to be tucked in here and sort of squished in between. It feels nice. You can roll your wrist up the top. When we come down, that was the happy melody going up. This is the sad melody going down. This is nice to do round and round in a loop. There's the top of your swimming pool, the lap at the top. And 2 octaves. Raise them up again, and flash on the way down. Left hand, let's see if it feels as comfortable with your left hand. So we'll start off with your 2. This is one of these times too where you have to stop and think, okay, well, I did B flat major and we started with our 3. And then we went over the top. That was B flat major. It doesn't work with a 3 for minor because that skip, that major skip gets flattened and smaller and minor and we have to change our fingering. So it always takes a bit of thinking, especially if you're playing your warm-ups as a major scale, then going straight to the minor and major and minor. If you play them as relative majors and minors, it helps to understand. Of course, eventually you can jumble them up and do them in whatever order you want. Let's go B flat, melodic minor with your left hand, starting with your 2. Your 3 goes over. This is one of these highly annoying things again, because we're supposed to have these 3 up here. But we have 3 white notes in a row and we can't just incorporate some other fingers to come in and help us out. The only way to make that thumb just before there is the same deal here, which we're just not going to do. So we were supposed to have your 4 over the top there. This is going to feel super weird. We're going to put your 4 over the top on the white notes and scoop up that way. So that is a really good thing to practice on its own. 1, 4, 3, 2. When you come back backwards, your hand can kind of go, oh, easy stuff, my thumb just tucks under. It's much more comfortable coming down. So practice that one round in a loop as well. One octave. Two octaves, going up. And coming down is super easy because it feels exactly the same as D flat major. You have just gone past all of these super hairy ones at the base of the clock. We've just gotten up to 5 flats. We're going backwards to 4 flats. F melodic minor. So let's go here. We'll count the 6th and the 7th ones. This starts to feel pretty cool. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th are supposed to be these guys. We raise them both up. And how easy is that? This is another nice loopy one up the top. Raise them on the way up and flatten them on the way down. And 2 octaves. Left hand, same deal. So on the way up, we're supposed to have them here, but our 3 just goes over the top and plays all whites. And then we come back and stick the blacks back in. That feels a little bit strange, so that's a useful one, great one for your thumb. Good thumb practice. So here's 1 octave. 2 octaves. Again, this feels weird with your 4. That is F minor. That had 4 flats. We're down to 3. This is a good one to start explaining the difference between majors and minors, because 3 flats, E flat major is relative to under the ground. C melodic minor is going to feel very much like C major. C major was like this. There's our happy major sound up the top. If we turn it into C melodic minor, we keep the flat there because that makes it the full C minor sound. So we have our flat at the start, nothing at the top because these two both get raised up. So it's just like C major with 1 note's difference. So here's melodic minor on the way up. On the way down, they go back to where they belong, like the key signature. Because the key signature is the sad version. Left hand, 1 octave, all white notes on the way up, and we add the 2 blacks back in. And 2 octaves is the raised ones, happy ones on the way up, and saddened on the way down. That was the 3 flat family. We're up to the 2 flat family. 2 flats was B flat major. We only had these 2. So if we go under the ground, G melodic minor. So on the way up, we've still got the black note there. We've got our flat. The E flat gets raised. The F gets raised. And you're up to the G again. So this time, it's like our bridge is only half there. It's like a funny triangle that goes up. And on the way down, the F gets flattened, the E goes back to where it was, which was an E flat. So this is a weird crisscrossy thing. If you look at my fingers there, on the way up, those ones go up there. On the way down, they crisscross that way. So this is another good little practice pattern. It's another one of those figure 8 sort of things. these two just to get the feel of it, because it is a bit odd. You can play them as little squishies. We've got those two squishies on the way up and these two on the way down. So it twists, and I'm exaggerating how much my wrist is moving. Of course, when we go flowing, your wrist is going to move. It needs to flow round and round in circles to make it easy, but of course we're not going to twist that much. 2 octaves. Left hand, let's see if it feels the same with your left hand. So on the way up, there's our B flat. It feels very major on the way up. There's our cross going up this way. On the way down, it switches to the opposite direction. So 1 octave. This is a great one for your thumb practicing to tuck under again. From here, and then tuck it under and just practice that little loopy figure 8 thingy. 2 octaves this time. That was the 2 flat family. We are up to the 1 flat family, which is very exciting because we're so close to the 0 flat family, which is where we started. So 1 flat was good old F. Under the ground. D melodic minor is going to have the same little figure 8 thingy that we had when we did G melodic minor. So we had that little cool bridgey bit around here and the funny angles that go back and forth for G melodic minor. D melodic minor just does the same thing around these 2 white notes. So there's our F. It's supposed to be B flat, it gets raised up. It's supposed to be C, it gets raised up. So there's our bit going up, up, up. It feels just like major. If we change the 3rd note up to here, it would be major. If we drop this one, it sounds sad. On the way down, we want natural minor, so we drop this to the C. We drop this back to where it was before, the B flat. Have a look at that again. And up, and down, and down. So there's another little good practice pattern in there. 1 octave up and down. And 2 octaves. Left hand, and this is very exciting because this is the last one before we come back to where we started this whole journey around the clock. So last melodic minor, D melodic minor. 3 goes over the top, it's supposed to be B flat. We've got B natural, it's supposed to be C, we raise it up. And then we flatten it on the way down. And down. So there's your little loopy practice bit up the top. Here's 1 octave, D melodic minor. And 2 octaves. And after that, we're back to the 0 sharp and the 0 flat family, which is where we started. So if you have watched all of this in one go, you are phenomenal, because I would never expect anyone to sit through the whole thing. But you can always come back to this and just find in the timestamps, find the family that you're looking for, and just take that little one, pause it, try and play along with it. All the best, and give yourself a thumbs up when you're able to play the whole cycle of all of those different types of minors.